Well, good morning. So I'm looking at the last part of chapter 5, the human problem. And the authors explain that deficits in nurturing can and do happen to all of us throughout the 6 developmental stages that children go through. And they characterize the 6 stages as connecting, birth to 18 months, exploration, we call them often the terrible twos, 18 to 36 months, identity, 3 to 4 years, competency, 4 to 7 years, and then the social, 7 to 13 years, where usually it's the same sex plus buddy, and those first 4 stages sort of reproduce themselves. We connect, we explore what does it mean to be in a little relationship, we get an identity and we become competent, and then 13 years to adulthood is intimacy, opposite sex. Anyway, so children develop, now here, see if this makes sense to you. Children develop different strategies depending on which developmental stage challenges arise. Typically, the strategies revolve around either maximizing or minimizing their defenses. And then, interestingly enough, they go on to say that later in life, in an intimate relationship, partners tend to choose mates whose childhood challenge was in the same developmental stage, but whose adaptation to the challenge was opposite to theirs. So those of you who are in a relationship, see if that makes sense to you. Does one of you tend to maximize the response to conflict while the other minimizes? You know, Hart will use the analogy of a turtle in a hailstorm. So the hailstorm says to the turtle, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. You know, what's the turtle doing except going deeper and deeper in its shell? I was certainly the turtle in our relationship. So in our more conscious relationship, I need to, stick my nose out a bit more and get into the dialogue process. My wife was never a big hailstorm, but my tendency was my reactive response was to shut down. Now, I'm going to take a look at what they say about the first developmental stage, but know that the same maximizing and minimizing strategies show up all the way down the line. So we'll look at the connecting stage, the first 18 months. So, and I'll quote them fairly extensively here, but in the connecting stage, in imago rather than an attachment impulse, the child comes connecting. Remember, we're in the quantum universe here, already attached. What is required from the caretaker, therefore, is to be consistently resonant with, warm with, and available to the child to maintain the cosmic connecting with which the child came into the world, which can only be maintained through resonance with the caretaker. Cosmic connecting is dependent upon the interpersonal. Now, if there's a failure there, the maximizing adaptation to the connecting challenge. So we'll look at the maximizing, then we'll look at the minimizing. The maximizing adaptation. Should the caretaker respond inconsistently by being cold and only sporadically available or warm, the child may shut down their feelings and draw to conclusions that they are unlovable and unwanted. This very early and therefore severe childhood challenge cuts into a child's core need not only to be wanted, but also to be protected and embraced by others, and ruptures the sense of cosmic belonging. If the caretaker is not available or is inconsistently available and alternates being sometimes warm and sometimes cold, the child will minimize their attachment. The child deflects the terror of not receiving warm and consistent caretaker contact by deciding that they do not need contact after all. We call these persons minimizers when they are children, and they are called avoiders in adult intimate relationships. And they also lose their cosmic connection. So that's the minimizing approach. The child concludes that, I'm not worth it, and then I don't need it, and then they minimize. The maximizing adaptation to a connecting challenge. Suppose again, the caretaker is warm but inconsistently available. There's inconsistent available nurturing at the connecting stage. A child may develop an unquenchable longing for more contact with the caretaker. The inconsistent availability of the child's lifeline creates the fear of abandonment. And unlike the minimizer who withdraws, the maximizing child clings to the prized caretaker in an ongoing campaign to ensure that the caretaker never abandons them. And then in their adult intimate relationship, this person will be a clinger. And then they tend to mirror each other. One's an avoider, one's a clinger. But it happens all the way down the line. Like they go through all the 6 developmental stages and show how it can show up. And like I said, they work through all 6 developmental stages, showing how some children respond to any loss of connection, which is specific to each developmental stage, by a more minimizing approach, others to a more maximizing approach. Now, here's the interesting insight for me. Think about this. Simultaneously, desire for the recovery of the sensation of connecting is born with the loss of connecting. And the drive to recover connecting permeates everything we do. What makes it possible for us to recover the original condition is that we have a memory of it from childhood, so we recognize it when we experience it. So in the next chapter I'll go on, they look more at memory and how the brain works, but I think that's interesting that in the romantic love stage of a relationship, we see something that we remember from the past. In the next chapter, the authors continue, we turn to the function of memory in the restoration of connecting. Not only do we have a memory of the original condition, we also have a memory of the people and circumstances responsible for our loss of it. Since having it and the loss of it are connected to the same cast of characters in our childhood, it makes sense that our unconscious would look for them or a reasonable facsimile. Which brings us to the imago, the central aspect of our clinical theory and the hope for the recovery of joy, wonder, and full aliveness. It's pretty well in a nutshell that we all have this connection, we lose it, but we have a memory of it and of the people where we lost it, so that our unconscious is on the lookout for them or someone similar. Two, for the purpose of recovery of joy, wonder, and full aliveness. I think that's a key piece. Anyway, imago is, as I've said before, imago is a Latin word for image, and the key insight of imago theory is that we tend to be attracted to someone in an intimate relationship who has both the positive but also negative traits of our family of origin. That piece I have known for many years. What's new for me, and what they go into in great detail in chapter 6, is the role of memory in the construction of the imago and what science tells us about how the brain works. And so I'll look at that next week. I know this is heavy sledding, and like I say, I'm above my pay grade here. Anyway, I'll do the best I can do. It's good stuff. Okay? See you next week. Cheers.